Don't tell people your plans, show them your results. Everything in life is a reflection of choice you've made. If you want a different result, make a different choice. Did any of these quotes connect with you? That's the magic of the beautiful thoughts and words of this young girl. Meet Idil Ahmed, a spiritual speaker, motivational blogger, and an accomplished author. Early on in her life, Idil realized that her words had the power to change lives. From sharing her thoughts on her personal digital platform to now inspiring more than 1 million people the world over, Idil has come a long way. She reaches out via her digital platform, Idil in Air, aptly named, and has also written a book inspiring people to overcome their fears. Join me in conversation with the powerhouse behind the words, Idil Ahmed. Welcome to Dubai, firstly.
Thank you.
Before I start with all the questions that I want to have answers for myself and for my viewers, I want to know a little more about yourself.
Originally from Somalia, and I grew up in San Diego, California. And one of the most amazing things and lessons that I've learned, and the person who's inspired me the most, is my dad. You know, I had a lot of questions about life early on. I think I would say like 11, which was my main age, where I had just so many questions. And he would tell me, you know, you can do anything you can and you put your mind to. So for me, that was like a big part of who I am. Sometimes I realize there's a lot of like people who doubt themselves and, you know, people who have a lot of fears. And I used to wonder, like, you know, you can do anything. Like, why do you feel that way, or why are you thinking like that? So as time was going on, I just continued to be inspired even more and more to kind of ask more questions about what I was feeling inside. From that place, I started to write. I was like, I want to share my thoughts, but I was writing in journals. Like, I was just writing for my own self. Yeah, and the more I was writing and I was talking to my friends, they were like, you're inspiring me. You're changing my life. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, you're just having a regular conversation, but you don't know how influential you are in a person's life. And then it was consistent. So I was like, oh, maybe I should start writing. So I started writing on Twitter, and then it just became really big. And then I moved to Instagram. I started writing some more, and I published my first book in 2013 called Getting Out of Your Way. I talked about overcoming fears.
And so I follow you on Twitter and Instagram, and it's always so apt. Whatever you write, when I'm going through something and I read your message, it resonates with me every time.
Yeah.
And that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And anything you're going
Thank
through in your life, you know, I go on your page, I find kind of an answer from there.
Yeah.
You know. So, was this a conversation with the universe, or it was something that, you know, you had in you when you started writing? How were you getting these messages?
Just something that comes to my mind. And it's one thing that you have thoughts of your own, but then it's another way to convey the message to people, because that's artwork, you know, like to be able to write so you could feel it. So I call that kind of writing multidimensionality, because I write it and then you own it as yours. So it's like I write the message for you, and then you receive it in that moment. You feel healed and you feel inspired. And I always write from that place for people, you know, and I think that's something that...
You get into their shoes and basically communicate with them in their soul.
Yes, and I think that's what makes me who I am, you know, is the ability to connect, the ability to share that message and come from a place of universal understanding.
So as I said, I have a lot of questions for you, and some questions are from my friends, and I know a lot of my viewers would love to have an answer for these questions that I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
So what is energy for you?
Energy for me is what I feel is floating through my body. Energy is a state of being. It's not something that you obtain, it's something that you are. Like, you have that all the time, and the way you could access more of it is the more you start to focus within yourself. And I think the more you give your energy to the external, that you focus so much on what's outside of you, you start to kind of like lose some of that energy, and you start to search for it from people, you know, from things. you want to get something that is inside of you already, but your focus is on the outside. So when people think of energy, they need to focus on how they feel, how they think, the way they feel about themselves, and once they start to understand that, the external kind of matches it.
So that was going to be my next question. So how do we really raise our energy field, our vibration to attract what we really want to attract in our lives?
It's eliminating, like these limiting thoughts of, I can't do something, something's not possible for me, and people get stuck in the past. When they're stuck in the past, their energy's low. When they're thinking about somebody who did them wrong, their energy's low. So the way to increase your energy is start to have more positive thoughts. And that's kind of understanding that you are new each moment. So when you understand that right now you're a new person, right this moment, you're not gonna go back into the past, because all the stories you tell yourself is what makes your energy low. So when you start to say, I'm new this moment, who can I become? Your energy increases automatically because you see possibilities. And that's just one part of it, that's the mental. The physical part of it is also really important, is thinking about what you consume, what you put into your body. Also, does it have energy what you're eating, and how much of it is helping you become faster, and you're moving, and the more lighter you become, within your own body, the more energy that you have. So raising your vibration and your energy comes from tuning in. And that could be through meditation, that could be through breathing, that could be through self-reflection. And I think that's really, really important for people to understand.
Following our dreams, it's something that I keep talking about, that we must follow our dreams. But to follow our dreams and to achieve everything in our lives, do we need to go with the flow, or we should make it happen?
Both, actually. So you have to, number one, know what it is you want. A lot of people don't know what they want. So most of the time, it's not that you can't have what you want, people just don't know. So it's to ask yourself, what do I want out of life? And when you answer that question, you start to now think of not concerning yourself with how something's gonna happen, but you have to say, you know what, this is what I want out of life. And then you start to see opportunities come to you. And then that becomes the second part, it's you allowing it. So you're going with the flow. Following your dreams really have to do with knowing exactly what you want. Know what you want, believe in it. And believing in it is, it's not what you can see, but what's in your mind. And a lot of people have a hard time with that, because they look at the external reality and they're like, how can I get to the place of my visions? And that's not for you to figure out. Because sometimes certain things happen in mysterious ways. Staying on track and understanding that you can have everything that you want, and that starts from a place of you believing in yourself and also allowing. It's definitely a balance. Make it happen when it shows up, but allow it throughout the process.
Let it happen.
Yeah, you have to have a balance between the two, because sometimes people try so hard because they don't believe it can happen, or sometimes they let go so much that the opportunity comes, they don't take it.
They don't take it.
So there needs to be like a balance between the two.
What is success for you?
Success for me is having inner peace, having that connection with myself, and having that understanding of who I really am. Because after that, you can have anything in the world. So that's the definition of success for me.
And what does money and material possessions mean to you?
It's neutral. It's how you define it. So you might think it's bad, somebody might think it's good, but each idea you have about it either helps you get more or not get anything. So it's a part of, the economics of where we live and how we do business, and I think it's a part of life. But it's not to look at it as, this is everything I need to be. And I think when people start to forget who they are, they become defined by material things. So it's to also know that you're beyond any of this, but at the same time, you're here to experience it. So don't identify yourself with it, but at the same time, enjoy it. That's what I believe.
What happens when people are positive themselves, but they are surrounded by negativity and negative people, and they cannot disconnect themselves from that situation?
One question I always ask the person, that asks me that kind of question is, Are you feeling depleted? Are you feeling tired from it? Are you feeling drained? If you're feeling all these signs, then you have to find ways where you can remove yourself, because the person still being in that situation is, needing something from the group, or also the group needs something from them. So it serves a purpose, but at the same time, if you understand, like, I need to focus on what I need to do better in my life, I need to sit there and, increase my energy. And the more you do that, naturally, you won't be around that, right? And then the more you start working on yourself, it doesn't affect you. So energy is not something people can deplete unless you're in a place where you need to do some more work on yourself, because you're not seeking other people to give you or take energy from you. You have that universal connection. So you receive from there, and then you can go into an environment where you're neutral. Even if somebody's feeling down, you don't have to say, oh, they're down, I have to hide from them. I have to get away, and that's a learning process. Because I think everybody goes through that when they start to want to work on themselves. You're making changes, but then you go into an environment, you're like, I don't want to see that, because you're making the changes still.
Right.
So it's to continue on with the changes till you get to a point where you're elevated. And when you're elevated from within, you could be around anybody.
Yeah,
and you actually become inspirational to people. Instead of saying, like, I need to cut them off and I need to hide from them. You actually don't need to do any of that. You just need to focus on becoming more loving on the inside, becoming more positive with yourself. And then when you start to elevate, you could be in any situation and nothing will affect you.
Last but not the least, I know a lot of things, as you said, you touched upon it, that depends on what we eat.
Yeah.
And that's a big subject with me and on the show, is how we are nourishing our body, mind and soul. What would be your take on that?
Number one, water. I drink at least 1 gallon a day. It's very easy, and sometimes when you drink it, you'll start to feel a change in your body.
Immediately, exactly, even in your mood.
I think it's very, very important to, the minute you start to feel something's off, reach for water and drink. I also love juicing, which is really, really a big part of my life.
Me too.
To be able to get that nutrition accessible to your body right away, you could feel the difference, and finding ingredients that work for you, because your body functions off of getting energy and energy through what you consume. So what you're eating, how much energy is in it, and energy comes from the food through the sun. So when you're getting food that has a lot of solar energy, you're putting that in your body directly. So you want to make sure you're not eating processed things, artificial things, and you will feel a complete difference in your skin, in your thoughts. Your thoughts actually change.
Absolutely. I've experienced that, and that's exactly why I'm doing the show. What I'm doing is because to really tell people that it's not just on a physical level or on a spiritual level, it's much deeper.
It's much deeper, and it's a cleansing process. So the minute you start to drink these juices and you start to drink, water, and you're coming from a different diet, you will feel a detox. You don't have to change drastically. I think it's baby steps.
Yeah, one thing.
Add a lot of vegetables and fruits into your diet. First, start to add the things you like, and then start to teach your body that, and your body will start to detox, and you start to consume that. But I think people want to go from one thing to the next. They don't like it, they go back. Some people eat heavy meals and they want to sleep. Why are you sleeping? Because your body needs the energy to digest in the stomach, not in the mind, in the body. So it all forms and goes to the center. So when you want to have more clarity, you eat a little lighter, but then you eat more of like things that have, energy in it, and things that are actually given back to you, not making you more, tired and fatigued and, heavy. But instead, the energy goes back to your mind and you have more clarity. And then naturally, it will happen. You don't have to force anything on your body.
Exactly. Yeah, it all comes to you. It just happens naturally and becomes a way of life. And I think that's the best place to be in.
Yeah. And I think for people that give advice to others, they need to understand how hard it is to change a habit.
Yes.
And when you take that into consideration, you have more patience, love, and respect for people. And you start to give advice from not from my life perspective, but more of what you can do to help yourself right now. One change can start to be the catalyst for where you can head.
Absolutely. Or set be an example and be a role model. I think that's another thing that people need in today's day and age, and I think you're doing that beautifully.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to our city and on my show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It was such a pleasure talking to you.
I love Dubai.